When you make your cheese board, you have free will to do whatever you want. And some people like to cut all their cheeses, and some people like to cut some of the cheeses up, so it makes it easy for your guests. So the question is, what do you cut and what don't you cut? So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. The first thing I want to talk about is a brie style cheese. Now we have two different brie style cheeses here. And this one, if I squish it, is a little supple. It is beautiful, it's delicious, but it's not runny, it's not going all over the place. This would be a great brie to cut. And I would cut it like wedges of a pizza. This brie, which is an entirely different recipe. This is actually a triple cream brie, so it's really delicious and milky. But if you see me squish this one, you can tell how squishy this one is. If I cut this before I had people over and before I served it, it would start to just not melt, but it would just start to flow all over your cheese plate, and those pieces, especially if they were laid on top of each other, would just re-stick together. So this is a good cheese not to cut. What would I do with this cheese if I was going to serve that? Well, it's beautiful, it's perfect condition. I would take a little spreader knife and just cut like the two lines of a wedge, but I wouldn't take it out. What that does is it tells my guests how I expect them to eat that, because they might not know. Also, it sort of says you have permission to eat it. So I like to put the little wedge in and not just leave it as a whole piece there. What about blue cheese? So blue cheese can be one that you definitely want to cut or you definitely don't want to cut. And it kind of depends on which blue cheese you have. If you have a blue cheese like Saint-Agur, which is almost like a spreadable blue cheese, it looks like this, but when you cut into it with like just even a spreader knife, it wants to be spread on a piece of baguette, something like this. That would be one I would just put a spreader knife next to it, maybe cut into it a little bit. But if I had a beautiful blue cheese like this, which is Bailey Hazen from Jasper Hill, I would probably nugget this. And you can check out our video on how to nugget cheese by just basically stick the tip of a cheese knife into it and wiggle it, and it'll break off in sort of little chunks or nuggets. So that one is a great one to nugget. Also, if you're using the blue cheese in a recipe like over a salad and you want it to crumble, make sure you're telling your cheesemonger or the person at the cheese counter at your grocery store that you want to crumble it, because if they give you a Saint-Agur, it's too creamy, it will never crumble, but a good cheese like this will. So there's a difference in blue cheese. And lastly, a really good cheese to pretty much always cut if you want to is an Alpine style cheese. This falls into our smooth and melty category. And it's just got a paste that doesn't crumble, so it'll let you cut it into triangles or sticks. It doesn't want to nugget as much, and we save that for our harder cheeses or our blue cheeses. Again, watch our how to nugget your cheese video for that. But an Alpine cheese is one that if you wanted to cut cheese, this one is going to behave for you every time. So I hope you'll rethink about what you want to cut and what not to cut on your next cheese board.